Hey there, we're Talia and Ophira Edut, identical twins and astrologers. Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, where we bring the stars down to Earth. Welcome to Aquarius week, everybody. This is the zodiac sign that's absolutely dominating the week of January 27th to February 2nd. Last week was the weirdest week ever, as we called it. This week, things are going to get chaotic, anarchistic, disrupted, and there's not really much we can do but just observe and take notes and watch people show their asses as they have been. So Monday, Mercury, the planet of communication, data, mental processes, moves into Aquarius until February 14th, and it meets up with sinister Pluto on Wednesday. Wednesday is also the day of the annual Aquarius new moon, which is also Lunar New Year's Eve. Lunar New Year's Eve always happens during the Aquarius new moon, and fittingly it starts the year of the wood snake, when all the broligarchs and F-boys and men who have not quite shed their sense of entitlement and are now powered up by MAGA are laying down their kindergarten tactics to try to get a little scrap of power. And then on Thursday, Uranus, the ruling planet of Aquarius, goes direct. We're getting all this Aquarian energy. Now, I can't stop talking about the fact that Pluto, who basically plays Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker. It can destroy, it can imprison our minds, it can overtake us, but also force us to burn away things that are no longer serving us and rise like a phoenix from the ashes. Pluto moved into Aquarius on November 19th of 2024, and it's there for basically another 19 years till January of 2044. The sun moved into Aquarius last week on January 20th, and that powered up Pluto with this solar charge. And because Pluto's at the beginning of this 20-year cycle, it's 20 years because it already started, little teases, little prequels back in 2023. But because this cycle is in its very beginning phases, we are going to see Pluto behaving badly in a very Aquarian way. The metaphor that we use for teaching astrology is that the planets are the actors and the zodiac signs they're in are the costumes that they're wearing. So Pluto, being this alchemist, but also this, villain, is slipping into the costume of Aquarius. Aquarius is the tech bro. Aquarius is the alien. Aquarius is the futurist, the space traveler. It's also the high-minded hippie and metaphysical maven. So we have a full range. It's got a wardrobe to pull from. But what we're seeing now is really the shadowy sides of Aquarius, which can rule groupthink. Now, Aquarius is a humanitarian, but there's also a popularity contest to it. And what's been so disturbing over the last week for me personally is seeing all these corporations, any kind of organizational psychology, larger entity is governed by both Capricorn and Aquarius. Aquarius is like organizational psychology, groups, how we as a society travel together. So all of these places that celebrated diversity, celebrated DEI and Pride Week when it made them money, are suddenly reviewing the data and canceling DEI. I'm happy to say that Costco, my dad's favorite store, and a Seattle-based company, is one of the few superstores that actually voted staunchly in favor of keeping DEI, but obviously Walmart, no surprise, they've been on the block, but I think Target is going that way, and obviously Facebook. We're just going to see all these people hopping on the bandwagon, like what's cool? What does everyone think is cool? I'm following that. That's the shadow side of Pluto and all these planets in Aquarius. Mercury, which is the messenger, the data carrier, has really been uh, powering up the patriarchy in Capricorn since essentially the beginning of the year. Now it moves into Aquarius on Monday until February 14th, and it's traveling really close to shadowy Pluto. So I think we're going to see more of this. I'm going to call it brainwashing because that's what it looks like from where I'm standing. To suddenly go along with what everyone else is doing. Like now it's cool to follow Trump and be a neoconservative. So I'm following that. But we're all watching. Like, what you don't want to buy into is the mirage that everyone around you thinks this way. There's always been a, dare I use the D word, diversity of opinions. And then there've always been followers. There are many more followers and sheeple than there are leaders. And unfortunately, the shadow side of Pluto and Aquarius is this sheeple mindset of people flocking around and following this charismatic leader. I mean, we all define charisma differently. People doing Sieg Heil salutes and attacking immigrants are not charismatic to me, but apparently they are to a wide swath, at least 50% of the country. So there's a sense of having to allow certain things to play out. For many people, sitting back and watching isn't the reality they're going to go through. And unfortunately, I think Mercury in Aquarius this week is going to empower some data to be mined and used in ways that's potentially unethical. I've been seeing, funny enough, on Instagram, people showing you how to protect your metadata, how to make sure that you're not being served a bunch of ads and propaganda and or any ads at all that would make money for Zuckerberg and friends. We will get political on this podcast. Astrology for us was born out of our work in DEI. When Ophi and I got into astrology many moons ago, we were students at the University of Michigan, and we were publishing our own intersectional feminist magazine called Hues. This was back in the 90s. So in 1990, little personal story, I was obsessed with the legendary Sassy magazine. This was pre-blogs, pre-internet, and we had to wait a month to get our content. So every month, this magazine that encouraged women to be outspoken, to be sassy, essentially, to speak our minds, have opinions, show our humor, support each other's smarts and intellect, arrived in the mailbox, and I ate it up. And they had a reader-produced issue contest once a year. The readers got to apply to replace a member of the staff. So I was in art school. I was in my first year of art school, age 17, at the University of Michigan. And I was like, I'm going to try to replace Neil, the art director. And I used PageMaker, an early design program, one of the first Adobe programs before InDesign, long before InDesign. There was Quark in there too, design geeks, you know what I mean, and sent out some layouts and hand colored this envelope, and I wound up winning the contest. And that taught me all sorts of things about how to publish a magazine. I worked with Jane Pratt on that, Andrea Lynette, Kim France, legends in publishing. They've worked for Lucky and all these other places. Anyways, that was one of those amazing 3-week periods that changed the course of my life. And when I got back to the University of Michigan, I was in a women's studies class and we had to do a project. So I decided to publish a version of Sassy that was actually inclusive of women of all sizes and races and backgrounds and sexualities. It was still the 90s, and Sassy was, not DEI, let's just say. They had to pander to racist advertisers in the South. They even told us that. Okay, so I got some funding from the university and put this magazine out there, and over the course of the next 5 years, me and Ophi and our dear friend, Dr. Diane Logwood, PhD, and a group of amazing women, shout out to the Hughes crew if you're listening, put together a series of magazines that became professional and glossy. But at the heart of that was to combat this feeling that we had growing up of not seeing ourselves represented and wanting to create a space in a world where all voices had equal say, and we're just in this chorus creating a world that we wanted to live in, where it didn't have to be a big deal. It was just like, yeah, diversity of size, of lifestyle, of thinking was supported. And that's where astrology really came into our lives, because while we had this broad group of women from all different backgrounds, the one unifying language was astrology. So we would all look up our moon signs. You had to use books to do that. And then we wound up getting software, and we all started doing our charts, and it became this group obsession. That doesn't seem so radical right now, but trust me, in the 90s, people were like, what? Moon sign? They didn't even know their zodiac sign half the time. And you couldn't just hop onto Snapchat or an app like CoStar and look up your chart. It was a big deal. But what we found with astrology was it also celebrated DEI of your soul's composition. All Sagittarians aren't created equal because you have to look at all the planets in the chart, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars. And the way we teach astrology is that every planet in your chart is like an actor in the movie of your life. We all have the same cast of characters, all the same planets, but the zodiac signs that they land in at your time of birth, which will be different for everyone. Only someone born the same minute in the same time zone as you will share that those are the costumes that each of the planets is wearing, each of the actors is wearing. And so we get this very fascinating picture, this very fascinating internal cast and chorus in ourselves. And learning your birth chart is the key to really understanding that. All this to say is that if you're listening to this, you're not going to hear anything but support for DEI, because that is the core of our values, of our work, whether it's in the 3D world or the 5D world. And just seeing it under attack, even being so casually dismissed, is heartbreaking for me. I feel like there's a new DEI going on that's like domination, entitlement, and inequality that we're seeing, and that's really depressing. I think what's happening here with this Pluto and Aquarius week, Pluto's kind of pushing activism, humanitarian groups, and progress into the underground for a while, but just like a diamond forming the pressure of a cave, it's going to come out shining again. But we have to make it through this 9-year, 2025, this year of the divine pendulum, as we call it in our 2025 book, where a lot of the processing might be going on in quiet, in secret, in hidden places where the broligarchs like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg can't get access to your data. It's up to us to change our algorithm right now, not using AI, not using anything digital, or maybe using something digital, but wrestling control back. To be honest, social media has really swept us away from our humanity. So we may be like, well, thank God that happened. Thank God TikTok got Trumpified and all these platforms got pillaged, even though they've always been to some degree. Twitter is destroyed. And I think the others are going to quickly go that way. So maybe it's time for us to find new ways to commune and rally, even though those have provided this outlet for people to feel as if they have been gathering. We really haven't. It's been a mirage. And so Pluto is coming in and maybe smashing that. We do have a new moon in Aquarius on Wednesday, which is a turn in a more proactive, positive direction. Although it's close, at a close degree to Mercury and Pluto, it's still the day every year that starts the Lunar New Year. And this year, this Lunar New Year is the year of the wood snake. And snicker, snicker, with all this hyper masculinity and bro culture going on. Of course, it's the year of the wood snake, but wood snake energy is not necessarily bro-y at all. We're ending the year of the dragon. So February 10th, 2024 till January 29th of 2025 was the year of the wood dragon. And now we have another wood year. Years ending in 4 and 5 are governed by the wood element. So just to give you the little code on that, years ending in 0 and 1 are metal. Years ending in 2 and 3 are water. 4 and 5 are wood. 6 and 7 are fire. And then 8 and 9 are earth. Those are the 5 elements in the Chinese, the lunar zodiac. So wood is about stability, structure, and growth. The dragon, however, was ruled by Mars. It's a lot like Aries. So that's combat, war, flamboyance. I feel like the best part of the year of the dragon was the Brat Summer, Chapel Roan, and Sabrina Carpenter in some ways. I would say Snoop at the Olympics, but Snoop has gone MAGA-ish right now, and I am sorely and deeply disappointed. Come back, Snoop, come back. Now, snake is like Taurus, ruled by Venus, which is peace, love, harmony, beauty. In some ways, though, the snake energy can power up the trad wife, conservatism, neocon energy. Snake is strategic, it's stealthy, it observes before it strikes. It takes its time with everything, and it's very sensual. If you did not join us for our vision board event on Sunday, then you should make sure that you watch the replay of it. We created a vision board based on the year of the wood snake, which takes you through. So you can still sign up. We'll put that in the show notes, or you can go to astrostyle.com/events and you can still get on there, watch the replay, and make yourself a vision board and change the algorithm on the year so that it really works for you and you don't get swept up in constant dysregulation and triggering by these bro-y oligarchs like Elon Musk who find it a sport to own the libs or basically just try to get everyone spun up because it's so fun to hurt people's feelings and make them feel bad when you have all the toys. This is what we're dealing with now. And he is Pluto in Aquarius. If you could put a picture of the worst Darth Vader villain of Pluto in Aquarius, it would be Elon Musk pretending to open his heart to the world while doing a Sig Heil. There it is, right there. And thank you, Pluto, for appearing so clearly for us. So we can see. It's not like we're victims of the stars and the cosmos. We also have free will. We have this chance in every moment to choose. And humanity's report card is not looking very good right now. As we end the year of the dragon, a year of war and domination, an 8-year last year, 2024, we have this chance now to actually sit back and watch people show who they really are. Now, Thursday, Uranus, the planet that rules Aquarius, wakes up from a 5-month retrograde that began back on September 1st. Action is turning direct in Taurus, may bring a little bit of grounding energy back in and allow people to get some grassroots mobilizing going on Thursday. It'll be direct for 7 months. But what's interesting this year, this is one of our divine pendulum swings, 3 planets swinging back and forth between a pair of signs. Uranus is one of the ones that is going to be moving into a new sign from July 7th to November 7th. It's going into Gemini. It hasn't been in Gemini since the 1940s. Eerie, because the 40s were World War II, the Holocaust. That doesn't mean that's going to happen again. There were other planetary trends happening then that aren't happening now. But Uranus going direct is going to hopefully wake up some of that grassroots mobilizing energy. The sun will be trine Jupiter that very same day on Thursday. The sun in Aquarius, trining Jupiter in Gemini. So on a personal level, all this Aquarian energy, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, this is an intellectually stimulating week. There's a lot of ideas. This is a great week for visioning, a great week for community action, tapping into thought leaders, but also being very careful not to follow the wrong leader and being very mindful to not get swept up in groupthink. How do you think critically? How do you think for yourself? It's going to be tempting to slip down a slope one way or another and get caught up in the collective hand-wringing, which is justified in many cases, but also important to not lose power that way. Saturday, a day when we can take a little break from all of the intensity. Venus, planet of pleasure, and Neptune, psychic, enchanting, soulful Neptune, are meeting up for their first of 3 conjunctions in the first part of the year. So they're meeting up in Pisces. And that's a day where if you want to slip off for the spa, go do a sound bath, tune out, meditate, or just do anything that helps you escape from the state of the world so that you can get your central nervous system back to a good baseline. Saturday, the whole weekend, is a good time to do that. So Sunday is 2-2. 2 is the number of partnership. Community and coming together is something we're all hungry for right now. So I've got an invitation for you. On 2/2 at 2 p.m. Eastern, we are hosting a free webinar called How to Read a Birth Chart and Actually Understand It. We'll drop the link for sign up in the show notes. So if you've been listening to the podcast and are intrigued as I talk about the planets being the actors in the movie of your life and the zodiac signs being the costumes, we're going to get into that and walk you through your birth chart so that you can start playing with that. We are also going to tell you about our Become Your Own Astrologer class that we're teaching again this year. Starts on 2/22. We're really into the 2s. You don't have to sign up for it. You don't have to be interested in it to come on 2/2. But it is a chance to taste what we're going to be teaching is. So if you're somebody who wants to really dive in and learn what makes you tick, we walk you through that in our 8-week course, Become Your Own Astrologer, in a way that even a very new beginner will get so much out of, and someone who feels like they know their birth chart pretty well. It's designed to bring you into a deeper understanding of your chart at any level of the game. We had an amazing time teaching it last year, so we're doing it again. And we have a second level, our oracles course, for people who want to learn how to do predictive astrology too. So you'll hear about that if you come and join us, or you can jump off before we talk about it. Very excited. It's our soul's work and our unique way of reading birth charts, which we have cultivated from trying to bring the stars down to earth. You know, when we grew up, everyone in our family spoke a different language. And our mom was the only one whose first language was English, but she speaks 5 different languages because her parents taught her, and then she became kind of a linguist before she became a rabbi. But that turned us into pretty good translators. It was quite a training and is what made us so interested in people, but also interested in creating the language of astrology as a tool rather than something that only an elite few should have access to. Come join us and get a taste of how to read your birth chart. The link is in the show notes. It'll be on 2/2 at 2 p.m. and then Become Your Own Astrologer starts on 2/22. So we'll give you more information about that. And if you already are intrigued by that, go to astrostyle.com/BYOA, astrostyle.com/BYOA. That stands for Become Your Own Astrologer. And take a peek and sign up if you're called to it. We would be thrilled to have you there. And look, this week is going to be another one that feels like a mind bender. We're going to see things that make us feel like the planet has already been abducted by aliens and lizard people and cruelty. That's the mirage of Pluto as it moves into the sign of the humanitarian. It's trying to crush everything, all the good of Aquarius. Or maybe conceal it so that we dig deeper to find that Aquarian activism and one love energy within ourselves. Bob Marley was an Aquarius and he wrote the anthem. It hasn't gone away. It's just gone underground a bit. Remember that, remember that, remember that. In the meanwhile, we'll be reporting from the stars every week and doing free webinars throughout the month to give you a taste of Become Your Own Astrologer and also get you through a lot of the shifts that are coming our way. Keep listening. And if you love the podcast, we would be so appreciative if you officially follow us and even give us a 5-star review. That's so helpful to us in keeping this podcast going along. Wishing you a week of warm community bonding with people who nurture you, support you, and raise your vibration to the high frequency that humanity knows it can operate at. We're still there. We haven't lost it. And be back with you again next week. As always, thanks for listening. You can discover more of your star power at astrostyle.com and be sure to follow us on social at AstroTwins. Join us next time for more cosmic fun.